are doing well this morning. I am so very happy to talk about this topic. It was actually a conversation that's been, I guess, yeah, we did start it last week, didn't we? When we were talking about how to navigate holidays as someone who doesn't really people a whole lot. So if you missed that part of the series, you can happily check that out. And today we're going to talk about how to create a holiday season that works for you. So if we've not already met, hi, my name is Lydia. I am all about empowering women to do life their way, to show up in purpose and live unapologetically. So this idea of having a uniquely crafted holiday season started from a really, really great conversation, actually multiple conversations. The first was chatting with a group of mamas who were all figuring out, okay, how much do I spend on toys for my kids? How am I figuring out my schedule with moving around for the holidays and being with family and all the things? Then there was another friend who was asking about, okay, what are the things that you're getting for your kiddos? What are some really great toy ideas? What are all these activities, blah, 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 that I could get for my kiddos? And there was just a stream of comments and streams of ideas. And they're all awesome and they're all wonderful. And I chose to ask a question. And this is actually a question that I asked myself. Man, that's really wild. I asked myself this question about 15 years ago. It's a really simple question, but it's a really dynamic one. Who is this all for? Who is this all for? And I asked that question coming from a space where I had just finished from school and I was living on my own. So I had my own apartment, I had my own space. I was going, okay, now I'm adulting. Let me kind of figure out the things that I like to do and what I like to cook and where I like to go, right? And it was in the midst of that time that I ended up creating what I didn't realize until, recent years after we had kids, some very foundational pieces for how I desired to do life, how I planned in my mind to do life. And one of them was, when it comes to the holidays, that I desire for that to be a time that's really meaningful. I desire for that to be a time that's focused on connection and not so much on stuff. I mean, stuff is awesome. If you need stuff and you're one to do stuff, then stuff it out. I will say, for me personally, in terms of my love language is words of affirmation. And for my husband, his is acts of service, right? So gift giving isn't necessarily something that's part of what acts as a way of filling the love tank, unless it's an act of service type thing or giving a word of affirmation, if we see that as a gift, right? But it was in that place of recognizing what mattered to me and asking who this was for. Why am I doing these things? Why am I engaging in these different practices? That I decided, when the time comes, I'd like for our family to be focused on connection. I'd like for our family to have as part of, I didn't use this wording then, but I recognize it now, that it was part of creating core values. It was my core values that I brought into immediate family space with my husband and then my children. And it was, I desire for that place of faith and connection to be really deeply rooted in what we do. And so if it meets those requirements, if it meets those areas, then that's how I desire to do the holiday season. And so instead of it being that the culture around me tells me what to buy, where to go, what drinks to get, so I'm going to just do all the Starbucks, or I'm going to get the, different cookies or different treats, desserts, all the rest of it, right? Instead of it being that the holidays and even culture at large, this is just one part of it, but the culture at large is not what dictates to me what I choose to do and how I choose to engage in my world. And as a result, that means that when conversations come up about, okay, what, how much are you spending on birthday parties, or how are you doing the holidays? I go, well, this is how we're doing the holidays, and this is why. So just to give a little bit of context of what we are doing for our family, we have a messianic connection, a messianic background in terms of our faith. And as a result, we observe Hanukkah and we observe Christmas. And when we observe Christmas, we're observing it from a time of remembering when Jesus was a part of this life in terms of being here physically on earth. That's a whole nother context, but it's recognizing, okay, so that's what we're there to, that's what we're focusing on. So we're really not focusing on gifts on that day. Yes, family members will give us gifts, and that's wonderful, and we appreciate it, but it's not a part of what we will typically do. So when it comes to Hanukkah, part of what we do is we just make it simple and fun. It's a festival of lights. So there's lighting candles, which if you've ever done that with little kids, they just think it's amazing. So that in and of itself is awesome. But it's also relating to this idea of how powerful light is in the midst of darkness. And when we do gifts, when we do our time together, it's special meals. It's just tiny, fun wonder moments and just little fun toys that they get to play with and just enjoy. And it's not about to make it bigger and badder and even more over the top than the year before. It's not that at all. In fact, even this week when we were celebrating and we were sitting down for dinner and we just finished with the various pieces, and they were picking a gift from the Hanukkah bag, because that's how we do it, is we have a big bag and they can reach in and pick a gift. And I looked at my husband and went, Brian, I need you to come around and look at their faces right now. I do not remember ever being that excited about Christmas morning. And they were this excited about being able to just pick a gift, right? So some people may be going, oh my goodness, how could you do that with your kids? Yeah, because it's not about the material stuff. It's about the connection. It's about the time we have together. They're going to remember that we did breakfast for dinner, probably more than they're going to remember what it was that they got as a gift. That's the memories that we desire to foster. That's how we create a season and a holiday season that works for us. And the invitation is there for you. I personally looked back within my own story and I looked back to think about what the holidays were like for me. That's its own separate piece. But it was recognizing that there were different parts of what I desired to bring forward, what we do based on what I'd experienced before, what clicked, what I wished was a little bit different. Nevertheless, it was all part of me. And so now we get to create something new and beautiful with our family here. So that is some definite points to ponder in terms of thinking about what is it in the past that mattered to you and what are the things that are valuable to you? How do you then bring that to the forefront of what happens here and now? Because that's all we have is here and now, right? I will say that if you're desiring to have some help walking through that process of figuring out and thinking through what it is in the past that's been helpful for you so that you can then go, okay, I can recognize now, this is so awesome. I see now how these pieces play together to take me forward. I encourage you to sign up for the Spark Workshop. It's a really amazing experience, and it's truly for anyone who just goes, I would like to be able to see what kind of patterns, what kind of ways of thinking, where it is that I have been to then understand where I can choose to go forward. Okay, so if you like, the link is in the comments. I mentioned that because it is one, next Friday on the 10th, and two, it is 30% off until Friday. So until tomorrow, December 3rd. So if you'd like to hop on, awesome. If not, totally fine. So have a great rest of your day. Know that you get to do this life the way you choose. And for a moment, I just invite you to be curious about why it is that you do what you do. Who is it for? I'd be interested to see what you find out. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.